We have got a large number of people focused on our India business right across our international network. So we would have somebody in each of our international offices with an interest in and responsibility for building our business in India. We have a central India executive, again with representatives from different practice areas and from different offices who sit on that. They meet regularly. We talk about the deals that are being done, who else we should be speaking to, what sort of practice. It's not just about winning new business and winning new clients out of India. We want there to be a proper understanding that India is important long-term for Herbert Smith, and as a result there are a number of things that we're doing to try and demonstrate that long-term commitment. So for example, we do a lot of work with the national law schools in India. We do an international teaching program. I've been fortunate to teach with the Dean of the Oxford Law Faculty. And so we see that as both important in its own right, but also important to demonstrate a real commitment to India that's meaningful and long-lasting. I think there are probably sort of three main things that companies will, the big things they will have in mind, and those are driven by rules from the Reserve Bank of India and from what's referred to as FEMA, which is the Foreign Exchange Management Act. And the issues tend to be around how much they can borrow to make the acquisition or make the investment, whether any guarantees can be given in relation to those borrowings or in relation to the underlying businesses, generally from India. And then the final piece is around the amount, in absolute terms, they can invest relative to their own size. I mean, I think the key message really is what they need is effective tax advice. The tax advice really falls into two pieces. The first piece is in relation to the structuring of the transaction generally, by which I mean they want to make sure that dividends from the target businesses that they're acquiring move back in a tax efficient way back to India, so there is a minimum of tax leakage. And the other relevant angle is just ensuring that in relation to any borrowings that are made in relation to the transactions, that those are effectively deductible for tax purposes, again in the most tax efficient way. So coming back to your opening point, which is what can a firm like Herbert Smith add, the answer is that the Indian businesses need effective tax advice across those jurisdictions, so it needs somebody who has an overview of the tax position internationally, and whether that's provided by clever tax lawyers or clever tax accountants, I don't think it much matters as long as you've got somebody who's got a good picture internationally across the piece. A particular feature of Indian corporates is this, what people refer to as the promoter culture. So you've got a culture in which the people who manage the companies in India, even the really big ones, are often owned by those same people. I think one of the issues that needs to be explained very early on is what that means in terms of public accountability, disclosure. The promoters will need to understand what that means in terms of disclosure, ongoing disclosure, and then there are interesting interrelations then between what the business that's listed and this significant promoter shareholder, and there are often then need to be put in place relationship type agreements to make sure that there aren't conflicts of interest. So getting that whole piece around ownership, control, promoter families right is something that we like to address very early on in any discussions around a listing, wherever the jurisdiction is.